Hey everyone, hope you're having a great day. I'm actually going to be on an international flight at this time, so I thought, hey, in lieu of getting on a stream, I want to make sure you guys have content. So let me talk to you about international travel and some things from my personal perspective and from a legal perspective that you really want to make sure that you're considering. So check this out. Number one, you want to make sure that you've got your visa and entry requirements like squared away, completely squared away. So what am I talking about when I'm talking about a visa, when I'm talking about entry requirements? Okay, as an American, if you're an American, you probably have a lot of countries you can visit visa free, which means you don't have to apply for a visa ahead of time. You don't have to pay money, send your visa off, get a stamp, right? That's something that a lot of people from other countries have to do for, well, a lot of places they go. But as Americans, we have the luxury that, hey, that's not something we're required to do very often. But sometimes we still have electronic certifications we have to sign up for. For example, now I can't go to Australia now, but when I did go to Australia, I did have to do some electronic stuff beforehand. Totally free, but had to file that before I ever got to the country. And you want to make sure you're doing that before you get to the country, because sometimes there's no internet connection when you get there or when you're in the terminal, right? So there's no way for you to hop online and fill out that paperwork. And you can be in a little bit of a tough spot if you don't have the right paperwork when you arrive. Obviously, if the country requires a visa, or if you're going there for work or a student visa that you've had to apply for beforehand, make sure you've got that, not just digitally, but also print out a copy. Going along with that, you should always have a copy of your passport. Always make sure to have a paper copy of your passport. Why? Well, not just because you might be able to use that as backup identification, but because if you lose your passport, that makes it so much easier to get a replacement copy and to get places. Without a printed copy, without some other copy, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. It's going to be really, really hard for you to get anywhere. All right. The next factor, number 2, is money. You want to make sure that whatever you're bringing, whatever type of money you have, if you're bringing cash, you are not violating laws by bringing too much cash in. Now, what do I say with that? Okay, well, there are countries where you can spend your card just like here in the United States. For example, if you're going to Canada or Britain, right, you could use your card just like normal. As long as you've told your bank that you're going on a trip, right, you can use your money just like normal. But there's some countries, for example, when I went to Brazil, in Japan, where there's a lot of places that just take cash. And if they just take cash, well, then you're tempted to bring a lot of cash. But a lot of countries do have a limit. Now, I know you're probably not going to want to bring like over $10,000 in cash. And a lot of countries have a high limit like that, $10,000, maybe $5,000. But some have limits as low as $2,000. And let's say you're going to a country for a month or even for 2 months, right? You're going to want to bring a lot of cash if you're going to a cash-based country. So make sure you're not going over that limit, because it could be confiscated, you could be fined, and it could, well, just create a lot of issues. The next thing that could be a massive issue is drugs, is actual things you're bringing to this country. So let's say that you think you're bringing something innocuous. You're bringing a prescription drug from the United States. Maybe it's something you take commonly, right? I know a lot of guys who take testosterone, right? And there's countries where, hey, you can't bring that in. That's a regulated drug over there. So you can't bring that in even with a prescription. There's other countries where things that aren't prescription require a prescription. For example, there's certain, high dose painkillers, right, that might be strong, for example, here in America, but are not permitted over there. I think there's certain countries where NyQuil is actually banned. That's one that I remember off the top of my head. But just imagine bringing NyQuil to a country and getting stopped for that. I mean, it's something that's pretty innocuous, right? But a country could think it's illegit. So just don't get stopped for that, because that can add complications to your trip. You also want to make sure that you understand major crimes and other things that are not permitted in those countries, right? The classic example is if you are going to a traditionally Islamic country, right, you want to make sure that, hey, if you walk around in your bikini on the beach, you're not going to get arrested. If you go to an island like the Maldives, actually a set of islands, right, those islands have beaches specifically for foreigners, and there's ones that are for natives. And at the native beaches, you can't go running around in a bikini, right? There's videos of people that get hauled off that try to do that, and it's just not something that flies when you're going abroad, right? You also want to make sure that all your equipment checks out. And this is not so much a legal thing. It isn't really a law thing, but you want to make sure that, hey, you've got the right plugs, you've got the converters, you've got everything that's going to make your equipment work with that technology. Going on with that, you also want to consider a VPN, a virtual private network, because with that VPN, you're going to be able to set your location, right? So if you want to set your location as, well, in the United States, well, maybe you're in, I don't know, another country that has a firewall, right? You're going to be able to bypass that firewall with that VPN. Once again, not something that I'm trying to get you in trouble with, but something you should keep in mind, because you might just be trying to do business and find out that, hey, that website that you needed to go on for business, it's blocked in this country, right? It's banned in this country. Or maybe you're just trying to go on Netflix and you just want to watch American Netflix. Well, when you access Netflix from another country, it's a different selection of movies and TV shows, which might not include what you're trying to watch. So just make sure that that's all lined up and that's all squared away, right? You also want to make sure that if your stay has any requirements, like that if you check in for the police or you report your location or your hotel, that all of that is squared away, because the last thing you want is to be hunted down for violating some term of your visa, especially if it's a work visa or a student visa, and you're going to be there for a longer period of time. Those are big things that you really need to focus on and check on. Guys, wanted to keep it real quick here today, real quick and simple. But if you're planning to travel abroad, the last thing you want to look at, especially in 2020 and 2021, is what the Rona restrictions are. You know that I talk about this all the time, guys. And it's so important that you understand exactly what those restrictions are, because if you don't, then you might end up unintentionally banned from that country. For example, if you're required to get a PCR test, a nasal swab test, right? You might end up needing that to be printed out. And let's say you just have that on your phone because, hey, we live in the 21st century. Everything can be on our phone, right? Well, wrong, because a lot of places want to keep that. They want to see that. They want a paper file. So make sure you know whether you have to have that printed or not, right? If you require the juice, if you need to get juice to get there, well, you better have a copy of that card. I would recommend printing out that card. I would also recommend that you not go to any country that requires you to have that juice passport. But hey, that's my personal opinion, and that's just me talking about shopping with my feet. So one other really important thing, and one thing that's absolutely critical, is that you understand the law and you understand how to be your own judge. And to do that, you should head over to my locals, which I'm going to show you right now, which is legalmindset.locals.com. Here you go. It's all here. All this information, all this facts for you guys. And there's so much information I put here day to day. It is so valuable for you guys to come over here, check it out, leave a comment, talk. I post case law every day. We've hit the 100 followers mark, so I'm going to post more and more information on my locals. But check that out. It's a great resource, legalmindset.locals.com. Now, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day. I will be back as soon as I can. It'll be next week on Monday. They'll be back streaming at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Despite where I am in the world, I will be here streaming for you guys. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, have a wonderful week, and take care.